You're listening to Career Coaching with John, thoughtful approaches for lasting change. I'm John Fielkowski, and welcome. Today's episode is all about retirement. Well, not exactly. Sort of. I don't know. Sure, we'll say it's retirement. Side note, if you lived in Canada in the 80s and 90s, you probably remember the Freedom 55 commercials. Now, I was like 7 or 8 when these things aired, but the one I remembered best showed a man running after a bus, missing it, only to find himself suddenly running on a beach, next to a retired version of himself, smiling, free at 55.
Still in the rat race?
Hey, you're me.
At 55. We look pretty good. Oh, retirement agrees with me.
Retirement? How can we afford that?
Freedom 55.
London Life's Freedom 55. Protection today, plus a financial plan that works, so one day you won't have to.
Don't you just love that muffled VHS sound? Anyway, it turns out the actor that played that man, Montreal's Barry Flatman, was only 35 at the time. Well, no wonder retirement looks so good on him. There was another one I remember that showed a baby girl who in the blink of an eye had grown into a young woman, a graduate. As time was slipping away from before your eyes, the message was clear: life is short, plan well, and you can retire young enough to enjoy it. And honestly, I think that basic financial advice hasn't changed. Put away a portion of your income, invest it securely, and let compound interest do its thing, and you'll be okay. And that was London Life's message, and it's still very valid. But we're not here to talk about your retirement plans. We're here to talk about your life right now. Because what's changed since those ads isn't the math of investing. It's the world of work that's being reshaped every day by technology and how we react to it. I came across an article in Bangkok Biz News about Kasikornbank, or KBank, one of Thailand's biggest. They've launched an early retirement program. This one's not at 55, it's 45. And employees over that age can get a payout and up to a year of special assistance, whatever that is. And sounds nice on paper. But let's be honest, this is not really about freedom. It's about being told you're done because we are going all in on artificial intelligence. Now, if this isn't a sailboat commercial, there's no beach, no dream. This is just a spreadsheet that says experience costs too much and younger, cheaper, more AI-savvy workers are the future. And because this involves the dreaded AI, this isn't just a Thai story. It's about all of us. Is AI here to replace us, destroy us? Is it another tool? Well, for KBank, it's the future. So, if being retired by our computer is our destiny, how do we face that? Do we call it ageism? Do we look at it as economics? Or is this just another reminder of the old question, what is our value? And that is what I want to explore today. Discovering and defining our value. Well, this is Career Coaching with John, episode 12. This is Freedom 55. I'm John. Stay with us. Welcome back to Career Coaching with John. When we in the West think about retirement in Thailand, we don't usually picture spreadsheets. We think beaches, cheap living, or maybe the old guy just off Sukhumvit Road in Bangkok, chasing after bar girls, convincing themselves that their passports somehow make them impressive. Well, newsflash, it doesn't, but I'm sure the government of Thailand appreciates them for the tax revenue nonetheless. I did actually spend a fair amount of time in Thailand before the pandemic. And I got pretty comfortable getting around Bangkok. I love the city, and mostly I loved how different it was from my home in Vancouver. One time, getting off the airport train, I met a retired Dutchman. He was overwhelmed, wide-eyed at the chaos, and I helped him find his hotel. We chatted for a while about our plans, and for a minute I thought about giving him my phone number, maybe showing him around. But then he started asking for where he could go for a good time and find some girls, and I thought, nope, you're on your own with that one, pal. Because, well, the truth is, there are Thai women who prefer Western men. They aren't impressed with you because you're Western. You still need to be a decent human, and you still need to know how to talk to girls. Because as it turns out, Thailand is a far more conservative country than outsiders assume. And Bangkok? Well, it's no more or less sleazy than Montreal. At its core, Bangkok is a financial, tourism, and transportation hub. It's one of the most important and dynamic cities in Southeast Asia, and has a modern economy. So when KBank rolls out an early retirement scheme starting at age 45 for its staff, this isn't about sleaze, stereotypes, or even living the retirement dream in Phuket. It's about numbers, about shareholders, and what makes financial sense. And it's their employees who are suddenly faced with a real-life Logan's Run scenario. You've reached the cutoff. Thank you very much. Now it's time to step aside. In Logan's Run, in case you're not up in your 70s dystopian film canon, you were sent to renew on your 30th birthday, which was just a nice way of saying you were going to be liquidated. The computer that controlled it sometimes made mistakes, as Michael York's character soon discovered. Anyway, I am, perhaps naively, far less concerned about what AI will do to us than I am about what we'll do to each other because of it. We've fought hard to take control of this planet, and we're not about to give it up to some machine unless, of course, someone hands it over behind our backs. Well, that's a lesson you pick up from watching these movies. AI, as it stands, is just a tool. Like a chainsaw, maybe a crane. Something that makes big jobs easier, faster, and less dependent on muscle. Work that once took several people days can now be done by one person in an hour. And that's how I use it on the show. It's my proofreader, my research assistant, my graphic designer. I've learned not to trust it completely, of course. It makes things up. It loves to recycle stock phrases like, "here's the thing," or quietly in the background. And once you notice these, you'll hear them everywhere, in YouTube videos, LinkedIn posts. But even with its flaws, it beats waiting on other people or getting stuck in my own gaps. For me, it's a tool to get things done. But what makes AI a tool for me also makes it a tool for corporations. And when a corporation picks it up, it stops being about creativity or convenience, and it starts becoming about profit. And that's when people become redundant. Now, the story we've been told thus far is that AI will replace mostly entry-level work, the repetitive grunt tasks. And whether or not that's true almost doesn't matter because we believe it's true. And that belief is shaping behavior. Younger workers are struggling to get a foothold, and companies are hesitating to hire them. In a way, the ageism part of this starts at the younger end. If executives think AI can already deliver the results, then why bring this staff in to begin with? But here's what's fascinating about what KBank is doing. They're coming at it from the opposite angle. They're not worried about replacing interns or new grads. They're cutting off the managers, the mid-career people, the ones who would normally supervise, interpret, and train. Well, why? Because in their calculation, they don't need interpreters. They need workers who can control AI directly. The people who are young, tech-savvy, and most of all, cheap. And so there's the paradox. If you're young, AI makes it harder for you to break in, and if you're older, AI makes it easier for you to get pushed out. And for those in the middle, where most of us are, the ladder looks broken at both ends. So where do we stand? Well, traditional household economics dictates that your peak earning years should be between your mid-40s and your early 60s. It's then you should have paid off your house, sent your kids to college, and you are ready to live the good life. Freedom 55, right? But what if you're renewed at age 45? Well, what then? I asked my AI assistant / overlord, ChatGPT, to find me some more context on what KBank is doing. The results were underwhelming. But we did come across one article in Brand Buffet, a Thai marketing blog, quoting an interview by Dr. Baranin Ratasambat, who is the president of Marketing Association of Thailand. I think you should hear this, but since my Thai is a bit rusty, we're just going to read a rather awkward English translation. It starts, if retirement starts at age 45, as will be the norm for the new generation, how should life be designed? Well, you should study in the system for only 15 years because you have to accelerate becoming an adult. Ages 15 to 25, study while working, build that portfolio, create a career, start saving money, and use the money to work. Ages 25 to 35, choose a job to build your profile, experience, but change jobs, change positions every 2 years, 3 to 4 times. Do work that most other people can't do. At age 35, becoming a CEO or leaving to start your own company may be risky, but it's better than waiting another 10 years, which may be even riskier. Retired at age 45 with a lump sum of passive income because we're not a welfare state, and after the age of 45, work as a freelancer, take care of your health, move to a different province or country with a low cost of living. Stop thinking about work-life balance. Turn your house or condo into a home office. You should have a second job, a third job, and use AI as an assistant and a coworker. End quote. Now, I don't know if he's being serious or sardonic, but do you see the problem here? This isn't Logan's Run, it's a return to serfdom. Now, for most of the 21st century, adulthood has been delayed. It meant more schooling, more prep, so that we could hit the ground running later in life. This flips that idea entirely on its head. Now forget work-life balance. When are people supposed to have relationships? When are we supposed to continue the species by having children? Or say play sports or get master's degrees? Party, live. What happens if things go wrong? What if a teenager makes the wrong choice at 18 and never recovers? The message here is simple. Work hard, and have a crystal ball to predict the labor needs of the future, or you're screwed. Now, if you're lucky enough to come from money, you'll be fine. You'll have real estate, stocks, and ownership. But how do we take care of everybody else? How do we take care of the retired? Who pays for them? Well, don't worry. There'll be plenty of distractions on your phone. And for all those kids that are rejecting smartphones and social media, oh, don't. You'll regret that too. Now, I'm 43 and I'm not independently wealthy. I've just started my own thing, which means I'm screwed too. Well, come on. When did we become so useless? Enough of this. This is Career Coaching with John, and when we come back, we are going to change the narrative. Welcome back to Career Coaching with John. That was a bit redundant by Yagmi Sharkov. Yagmi Sharkov is a one-man band that cranks out a diverse mix of punk, various instrumental, and garage rock with a minimalist DIY setup. All right, sweet. I'm John. Let's get to work cheering ourselves up. There was a study done in 2009 by Professor Emanuela Cardia at Université de Montréal that said it was the washing machine and other household appliances that truly liberated women. The study said that women in 1900 spent 58 hours a week on household chores, but that by 1975, the number was only 19. The time savings that came from having a machine do the laundry unleashed the wave of human potential from women that changed the world. Now, while I'm sure there are plenty of mothers out there who will tell you that keeping house is still very much a full-time job, it's no longer the laundry and cooking that consumes your human potential. There's something else holding you back. Now, this isn't exactly new. It was the advent of agriculture in ancient Mesopotamia that created civilization in the first place. Logic is, if you have food, you have time. And as a species, we couldn't think until we had the time to think. There are two ways then to look at what KBank and other companies are doing around AI. One says our usefulness as a species is about to be eliminated. The other says we just don't know yet. The unknown unknowns, as Donald Rumsfeld once put it. But honestly, I don't think this is any different from any other turning point in history. Technology hasn't exactly made our lives easier, it's just changed how we use our time. We feel busier than ever, even though so much of our work has been automated. At the beginning of this show, I posed a question. If being retired by a computer is our destiny, how do we face that? Yes, advice is easy. Network, reskill, post on Instagram, go back to school. But if you're like me, you probably need a little bit more than those little tokens. There is a big problem with all of this. We can't all be doing the same thing. If we listen to the experts, chase the next career trend, post the same SEO optimized content, without really understanding what it all means, then we're hardly promoting ourselves. At the end of the day, though, our ancestors did leave us with a few great gifts on how to handle these sort of existential crises. They left us a bitchin' planet. They left us the notion of community, art, ambition, and love. And they also left us with the number one human characteristic, adaptability. So the question then becomes, if we're going to be retired by a machine, how do we face that in a way that's right for us? How do we prep for this sort of uncertainty? And are you willing to give yourself the time to explore that idea? Now, this is something that has been consuming my brain for a while, but I think I might actually have an idea that'll work. In our last episode, I gave you homework. I asked, what was the one thing that you would like people to know about you? A friend of mine tried it. Her answer was her job title, her duties, her hobbies. And I said, okay, that's great, but what makes you special? Where do you add value to the world? Her reply? Well, we've entered the territory of my personal hell and self-limiting beliefs. Exactly. That's the point. I think a lot of self-doubt that we face as humans stems from the fact that we are utterly bombarded by worst-case scenarios and solutions that come with a hefty price tag. All of these options aren't serving us the way they should. They are distractions from identifying what actually matters to us. They are sucking up our human potential. So in asking this question, what do you want people to know about you? I am hoping to give us a baseline from which to adapt. As promised, here's mine. Here's my one thing I want you to know about me. I have the ability to break down complicated problems in a way that empowers people to find their own solutions. This is the core of my personal brand. It's made me an effective manager, and it's what makes me an effective coach. Honestly, I think it makes me a good friend. Therefore, of all the things that I could worry about in my career, the only thing that truly matters is whether or not I can communicate that message clearly. It's what helps me connect with others, get their help, and find ways to improve and adapt. Now, go ahead, tell me I'm wrong. That's part of it. That only makes me refine the message and makes me stronger. Now, this ability, this personal brand, if you will, is what will get me paid and will let me build the life that I want. I only came to this conclusion because my old career disappeared. There are still hotel sales managers, yes, and there are still guys that run bike shops, but I am not one of them. Those worlds moved on without me. I didn't belong there. I belong somewhere else. Dirty laundry wasn't consuming my human potential. The misalignment was. And the misalignment happened because I never bothered to say anything. So tell me, what is yours? What do you want the world to know about you? We started today looking at Freedom 55, a glossy promise from the 80s and 90s that said you could retire early and live the good life. We looked at KBank, where 45 became that magic new cutoff, and, well, a little less freedom and a little more 70s dystopian fun. But here's where I want to leave you. The truth is, it's never really been about a number. Not 30, not 45, not 55, or even 65. Those are arbitrary milestones, and we are all different. What matters is how you adapt when the rules change. Well, let's not assume then, just because someone says you're finished at 45, that it's true. Let's not assume that people fit into neat categories or that their value can be written off because of age, where they're from, a job title, or an algorithm's decision. Don't assume that you know where the world is going to go, because you don't. You have no control over others. None of this is a foregone conclusion, and that is a good thing. This, guys, is the attitude that will leave you drunk and alone at the Bangkok bar, instead of navigating the world with the woman of your dreams. Technology, yeah, it'll keep shifting. Companies will keep redrawing the lines and changing the rules. Adapt or die, that's what they do. The constant, and the thing you carry, is your ability to do that too. So maybe Freedom 55 was never about retiring at all. Maybe freedom is knowing that no matter what number they throw at you, you're still you. You still have value. You still have power to adapt. Just gotta tell the world who you are. Well, this has been Career Coaching with John, episode 12. This is Freedom 55. Thank you to everyone who inspired and contributed to today's episode, and thanks also to Gagmi Sharkov and Talopkerjo, who is playing us out. Today that tune is sensual bebop jazz for good times and slow travel to your peaceful, comfy place. Gagmi Sharkov, Talopkerjo, where do they get these names? Now, if you want a comfy place, I will give you one. Come visit my website, johnfielkowski.com. There is a whole bunch of my services, plus details on the podcast itself, and all the show notes from today. You'll also find ways to support the show, work with me, and even see a handsome photo or two. I've also launched a Patreon where you can actively contribute to the show. And you'll find a link from the website as well as my other socials. Honestly, I don't know really what I'm doing, but that's okay. And of course, if you know anyone who needs to hear this message, please share this episode, subscribe to the show. Your listening means everything. I'll stop recording when you stop listening. How's that for a deal? My name is John Fielkowski. Now go enjoy your day at work.